let's see if this conversation goes well for just a few minutes.
Okay.
Well, good morning and welcome to this latest edition, I should say good day, because you may be watching this in the middle of the day, to City Current. My special guest today is a great friend of mine, County Commissioner Nancy Thellman. So, Commissioner.
Hey, Jeremy.
Welcome.
Mayor Farmer.
No, see, there's a kitty up here. Every time somebody calls me mayor, they have to put $1 in it.
Oh, gosh. You take credit cards?
We will for you.
Yikes.
We will for you. So I just figured today we could talk about city and county collaboration. I mean, you and I have been in dialogues for longer than I've been an elected official, and then once I became an elected official, just about how the city and county might be able to work well together. You've been in this game for a long time. How do you feel about how the city and county are collaborating now versus maybe how they were collaborating 4, 5, 6, however many years ago?
I'd have to say, so I'm in my, 7th year, so the latter half of my second term, and I think my entire experience has been of having a good collaborative relationship with the city from the beginning. I don't think that was always the case. I think there have been seasons of some discontent with each other or unwillingness to really work together, but I haven't experienced that. So, but we have gone through periods where we have had joint meetings intentionally and then have kind of fallen away from that habit. And now we're back to having joint meetings, not just with the city, but also with the school board. So every quarter we have a meeting that includes every member of the school board, the city commission, and the county commission. And we're beginning to learn how to make those productive meetings too, rather than just sitting and listening to presentations. We're reserving time to really talk and do some serious internal work with each other, I think. And I think it's great. It's important. We all represent the same people, and we have, mostly the same goals and one large community that we're working for. So we all need to talk with each other.
Absolutely. So when you look back over the last 7 years, what have been some of the things that the city and county have collaborated on? I mean, just off the top of my head, a few of the big ones. Lawrence Venture Park,
Right.
The city and county working together to have an industrial park for primary jobs to come. What are some other ways that the city and county have collaborated together that stick out in your mind over the last number of years?
Well, a really, I think, great example of that is the bioscience facility up on West Campus, which went beyond the city and county. It was city, county, KU, chamber, funds from the state. Everyone got together, and it started as an idea among a few folks here in town, and really at the beginning of my first term, I remember sitting down with a few of those guys, and this idea came out, and previous commissions had been working on it, beginning to set aside money for it, but it was really 5-6 years ago that it really took off and became brick and mortar, and it wouldn't have happened without collaboration across lots of governing bodies and lots of organizations, and it's been tremendously successful and really set us apart, set our community apart, and set KU apart as a real leader in high-end biosciences. We've been bringing in important new businesses and creating great high-paying jobs, and with real promise, I think, for the future that they'll stay in town, they'll create more jobs, and cause us to be a real center for science-related jobs, which is real appropriate for our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Good
so
example of that, integrated animal health recently.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be a world leader. It is a world leader.
Yeah.
And then how about the Peasley Center? That's another big one.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty recently.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of good news. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and it's comes out of a spirit of collaboration, cooperation, kind of identifying some needs, and getting on with the work of getting them done.
So what do you think the next big thing is to to tackle together? I mean, I feel like we've got so much set up now for success, both the city and the county and the school district, if we could get the state to leave us alone. I mean, that's of course, that's the biggest bummer in all of it is how much the state has affected it. And they've got one more day, right? Is it June?
Yeah, they meet, I think, on June 26th.
Okay.
The Sine Die Day.
It sounds too much like a rainy day.
Yeah.
Day.
Well, we're hoping they're going to fix the one thing that is left that will really hurt cities and counties tremendously. If they don't fix it on that one day, then their cap on local government control of our budgets starts July 1st, and that's such bad news. That's such bad legislation. But I hear that their intention is to fix that and put the date in on that bill that was meant to be there, which is 2018.
Which still is going to hurt in 2018.
But that leaves us time to fix it.
Right.
As it stands, it starts in a couple of weeks. And it just can't stand.
So let's talk about that a second. So basically this asinine legislation says that you have to have an election if you raise the property tax, if you raise the mill levy above CPI, so adjusted inflation. And that election has to take place in concurrence with other elections, which is November. So basically, our staffs are going to have to, your city and county staffs, are going to have to figure out what the budget is the November before the next year?
Yeah, it's just not a workable plan. Your valuations come out late, your budget work is late, and then all of a sudden that's, the November would be just on the heels. It's not a workable plan. So I think it was thought up in someone's dreams and taken to the floor, and it in the midst of all the other chaos, it passed.
Don't know if it was just a bad dream or a nightmare.
It's it's going to be a nightmare, and so it's their responsibility to fix this, get the right date on it, and then the rest of us, in the next couple of years, will need to work with the legislature to make sure that gets taken out.
That's right.
Any future bills.
So, barring all that going well, when we look at the scope of what is potentially the next things where we're going to be partnering together on, what do you kind of see as out there?
I really think so much of when the recession hit, so much of our work was to try and shore up our community, find ways to help businesses, bring jobs, kind of figure out the economic development aspect of the community so that we didn't just stagnate. And some people appreciate that, some people don't, but the fact of the matter is that Douglas County, Lawrence, Baldwin, Eudora, Lecompton, we've all done pretty well through a pretty rough season. And so a lot of our attention has been focused on building business, kind of pouring money into incentive packages and all of that, which I think we still need to continue to do in a thoughtful way. But I sense now an urgency going in another direction so that we begin to enfold the folks who are still struggling. So I think attention to our social services, attention to our mental health services, attention to that population that is in low-wage jobs, the working poor among us, so many. Folks who are working as hard as they can and still not making it. So trying to find ways that local government can elevate those folks with the same intensity that we put into elevating our businesses and our wanting to be a destination place for new folks and better jobs. I think we have a season ahead of us where we're going to really need to focus on folks who are already here who are struggling.
Who will be ultimately once again affected by actions at the state level.
Right.
And that work I think becomes even more important. Because you've got a number of people who don't have a place to live, who don't have food on their table, who can't afford to get a college education, who live in less than ideal conditions,
Right.
and we want them to have a better life.
Right.
You know, and so how do we work together to do that in your mind?
Yeah. Well, I think we go about it very carefully, thoughtfully. I think we all wear our hearts on our sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have commissions that are particularly sensitive to these issues right now,
Mm-hmm.
which hasn't always been the case. But I think we have to be careful to work on these issues, not forgetting the heart, but certainly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, working with our best intellects and our best, you know, ability to understand deeply these situations, and so not be afraid to step back and take a new look at things, to, you know, study them, not with the intention of pushing them off for future years, but with the intention of getting our answers right, and putting our money and our people, you know, and our organizations, lining everyone up to succeed as quickly as possible, but with the long term, with the long view. So I think we're in a great moment. I think we have a lot of folks on board who want to do right by people who are in need, but you know, it's not going to be as simple as just giving, you know, pouring more money into more organizations. I think it's going to be about kind of deeply understanding the root causes, you know, and going at those with all of our might.
Yeah, I mean, if money were the solvent issue, we might have had this all handled a long time ago.
Right.
No homeless folks, no hungry folks.
And that's not to say that money isn't.
Absolutely.
I mean, money's a huge part of it, but yeah, I just, you know, we've got a lot on our plates, but I think that one, you know, mental health, affordable housing, living wage, you know, being a welcoming and prosperous and equitable community. Those are things we know we not just want to be, but that we need to be. So,
County Commissioner Nancy Thellman, thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next week for another episode of City Current. And rumor has it that it could involve me and a solid waste truck, but more coming. Stay tuned.